a New York Times bestselling author of romance, women's fiction, and suspense. And we invited her here today just to share a little bit of her marketing strategies. Hi, Brenda. How are you doing?
Hi, doing great. Happy to be here.
So let's just jump right into it. What have you done in the past with your books? What kind of marketing strategies have you employed to bring visibility to your books?
Well, I'm a little bit of a different animal in some ways in that I'm mostly traditionally published. I have dabbled a little bit in self-publishing. So I've tried to kind of keep my eye on what's working there. And of course, I do my charity projects, indie, which means I have to market the way indie authors market. And what I've really learned has benefited me most is going to the end user, meaning it's all about your relationship with your readers. You can't even guess how much support your publisher is going to give you. Sometimes you're expecting a lot, you don't get a lot, you don't have control over that. In other words, you don't have control over how much merchandising you're going to get from the vendors either. So the one thing that you can control is your relationship with your readers, how you present yourself to them, how often you interact with them. So my primary goal has always been to build a strong mailing list, not one that I build by, offering a bunch of giveaways to people who are not interested in my books. If I give anything away, it's a sample of my work so that hopefully they will like it or try it, like it, and then start following me. So it's all about the quality of the list that you're building as well as the quantity. So that's just sort of a daily drip by drip thing that I continually push on my social media, in my newsletters for them to share the newsletter with their friends, trying to gather as much of a newsletter following as I can, because then I can reach readers directly, and I'm retaining the marketing muscle. So instead of building lists for other people who sell you the right to use their lists, I try and build my own.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to own your fan base. And for me, what I've found best is the email list and social media. Is this something that you found as well?
Absolutely.
Are there other places that you connect with your readers, or?
Mostly Facebook works for me. I'd like to do a little bit more with Pinterest. I hear that that's good. Twitter to me is probably more, it seems as if it's more industry people sort of following each other and learning bits about the industry more so than readers. I could be wrong about that. Maybe just my readership lives on Facebook, but that seems to be where I have built my home, so to speak, my social media home that I interact with most often and where my readers know that they can find me.
Great, great. So when you're launching your book, what do you find that helps you gain the most traction in regard to as you engage your fan base?
I really try for pre-orders. I know that there are different marketing strategies where people will say, oh, but if you pre-order, then it already hits the Amazon algorithm early. But to me, a sell is a sale. So I want to get as many sales as possible. So right. As soon as that link goes up, then I start letting my fans and readers know about it. Say, hey, we got a new book coming out, and I try and entice them with excerpts and maybe a bookmark or something that will get them more interested in listening or reading the post, listening to the podcast, whatever I'm doing. Oh, not podcast, but like I'll do a Facebook Live event or something. So to me, it's all about pushing from the moment you get that pre-order up. And then even afterward, to me, I really feel as if things have changed. Before, in traditional marketing, all they wanted to do, or it seemed that the working model was push as soon as a book comes out, and you have 6 weeks, and then it's pretty much over, and then your publisher only cares about what's coming out on their list next. They don't care about your backlist. You could have 50 backlist titles, unless you're maybe like Debbie Maycomer or Nora Roberts, who hit that absolutely top echelon where they're repackaging your backlist. So if you're not quite to that level, but you have a lot of backlists, there's still a lot you can do to grow your readership. So I've really focused a lot. I have almost 60 titles so far. So I really started focusing a lot on, I'll notice that Amazon's running a sale. For instance, they're running a sale today on the first book in one of my 8-book series. So of course I want to get that information out to my fans, because even though that book doesn't give me any maybe brownie points with my publisher because it's not a new release, it definitely still grows my readership, because hopefully it's getting into the hands of people who will like my work, and it's at an inexpensive buy-in. So I have a lot better chance of reaching new readers. They're going to take a much more of a risk on a 99 cents or $1.99 book than my full priced traditional stuff. So it just gives me a great way to sort of expand beyond where I'm at now and get some new readers from that. So to me, I constantly push backlist, but I don't just spam constantly. I really am somebody who's interested in my readers in other regards too. We post funny things. We do a lot of other things. It's not just about buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, because no relationship is fulfilling when it's a one-way street. And I think that that's primarily what marketing people have to understand in order to engage their audience effectively. You can't just expect to get something out of a relationship when you don't give anything to it. So it has to be very symbiotic.
Right. And that's exactly what I've experienced. With my email list, I tend to give out a little bit of free content here and there, and I do more interacting when people email me, or I'll interact with them with my social media, just on a little bit more of a personal level, or a level that just meets where they're at, versus selling. Because like you're saying, you can't be salesy. You need to build that relationship with the reader, because a relationship can lead to many sales to come, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But one sale.
Time though, you have to stay focused. Like I think there is a line where you can go too far, where you're spending all of your writing time where you're supposed to be making a living, hanging out on social media and talking about things that are completely unrelated to writing or to books. And so there is a line where you can go too far, I think, where it becomes you're just burning tons of hours out. Maybe you're enjoying yourself, which is great, but you still have a job at the same time. So it's fitting in that middle is I think where it's at, where you are genuine and you are truly interested and you are respecting the people who trust you enough to put money down for your books, but you're also not just out there, wasting tons of time and not meeting your deadline.
Absolutely. I think that's a kind of a poison that a lot of authors experience. They go onto Facebook and they sink into that trap of just all day talking on Twitter and everything else. And honestly, when I first began, I avoided Facebook for those reasons. But after I had heard of how other people were experiencing, traction there, I eventually decided, okay, I'll climb on board. But it really, like you were saying, we need to continue to push that pedal of getting things visible. And visibility doesn't mean spam. It doesn't mean continual sales. It just means building interest, building relationship, while keeping that drive, that one focus. If the goals aren't there, for example, if someone's focusing too much on Facebook, like you're saying, they're not going to be able to write that book and finish the next book that they might need to continue with their income. Even in the published realm, like you were saying, with the newer authors, they might only be interested for the first 6 weeks of sales or whatever the case would be, and then afterward, their next major income is going to be the next major release. And so I found a similar experience just kind of with what I've done as well. But anyway, so to ask if there's any other projects that you've been working on, if you'd like to share that. I know.
Right now, I'm just doing All I Want for Christmas, which is the digital box set filled with romantic Christmas stories that includes Debbie Maycomber, Rayanne Thane, Melody Ann, Marie Force, whole list of really great authors that are super popular right now. And all the proceeds go to diabetes research. But that's going to only be available through December 31st. So I hope after that I will do another one next year. We'll see. I mean, my goal is to raise 100,000. We're at 32, but we're just starting out. So I think we might make it. And if that happens, then I think I'll be ready to dive in again and try it again next year. Since November is Diabetes Awareness Month, it seems to be a nice time to launch a project like this. And of course, then I have a ton of books coming out next year. I've been working really hard. I've got 4 books in my new Silver Springs series coming out. I have another book in my suspense series with St. Martin's Press, my Evelyn Talbot, which is about a psychiatrist who studies serial killers at a remote facility in Alaska. I have a backlist that'll be reprinted with #1 New York Times bestselling author Robin Carr's book, her first book in her Virgin River series, and my first book in my Whiskey Creek series. So I'll have six releases next year. So I'll be really busy, and that's before I get to my new boxed set. So lots going on. I'm sure I'll be on social media, enjoying talking to people about the new releases.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And everybody, this is Brenda Novak. You can connect with her on her website, brendanovak.com. Is there anything else, any other places that you'd like to connect with them at?
Facebook, my website, newsletter. It's right there at brendanovak.com, or author Brenda Novak on Facebook. So those are primarily the 2 things I use the most.
Great. And she also is doing the fundraiser for diabetes research. It's a really great cause. So if anybody wants to jump on board with that, it'd be wonderful. So anyway, again, I appreciate your coming here today, and thanks again.
Thank you for your help. I appreciate all the advice you've given me on the set.
Yep. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.